Hello, both sides of the conversation family. We welcome you to this virtual space crafted especially for you. My name is Jada Curry, and I'm both sides of the conversation's marketing director and graphics design specialist. I want to take some time to ground us all as a community into this space we are about to open up in, so let's go through our community standards. Both sides of the conversation is providing a safe and honest space for open conversation, so we ask that you all be respectful of that. We also ask that you be respectful of each panelist, host, and participant. We do encourage healthy debates and conversations. Don't personalize anything with anyone. This includes name-calling, bullying, trolling, or shaming. This will not be allowed or tolerated. Your perspective is yours. It is not a prescription. You do not have to agree, but show respect. These community standards apply to all of our live shows and any virtual spaces that we hold on social media, including YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. We want to make sure that we are caring for each other as a community. This is our priority in all of our endeavors as both sides of the conversation. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed today's show and continue to stay in touch with us via YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or all of them. All right, thank you for listening and see you soon.
Welcome everybody to both sides of the conversation. I'm John Henry, Executive Director. Today is Sunday. So you know what that means. We're going to have another Sunday conversation. Today is a very important conversation for community. We are talking about the BBL, the obsession with surgery, cosmetic surgery. It should be a great conversation. We talk about the pros, the cons, things that happen, some of the things you'll know, folks who had a great experience and some who have not had a great experience, some of the laws, things that need to happen. We are here today to have that conversation. With that being said, I want to say a couple of things to the community because I know everybody's like asking questions. Okay, we had our show canceled last Thursday, our guest canceled. We are still here. The bishop haven't went anywhere. Yes, I've been down on COVID, 10 days on lockdown. I am coming back to the community. I missed a number of community events. Thank you all for continuing to pray for the bishop and make sure that I am A-OK. I'm doing well. I just wanted to be a respectful leader of our community and stay away from the people for a while. Make sure that I'm 100% before I come around. I know folks was reaching out. John, where you at? We don't see you. We see your team. Where you at? Okay, I've been staying away from the people. I don't want to spread anything, even though I tested 3 times negative. I just wanted to make sure. I missed some phenomenal events over this past week, but just want to say thank you for all of the community folks who continue to work together and support and uplift this narrative shift that's going on across San Francisco and across the Bay Area. Okay, there's some amazing work going on. I want to give a huge shout out, okay, to Director Davis for the phenomenal book release party that she had and all of the amazing work the Human Rights Commission and the DKI team has been doing for this Martin Luther King weekend and celebration. I missed a lot of those in the city. Hey, but I'm still here. I'm doing the work, okay? Y'all will see me this week. I will be back in the community with the people, continue to do the work that we're doing, blessing the people. We got a lot going on. There's a lot of changes happening. There's a lot of new faces. We got things happening. And I know people are saying, wait a second. We see AR. Where's Tony at? Okay, Pretty Tony has been celebrating her birthday. She has had a phenomenal week of celebration. She won't be here today. She's enjoying her time. And we want to say happy birthday to you, Tony. We love you. And we know you're supporting us. Continue to do what you're doing. And we'll see you back soon. But today, AR is here with me. He's here holding it down. AR.
Yes, sir. AR the deacon. I'm with the bishop, man.
What's going on, AR?
All right, ready for this conversation, ready to, hear some different perspectives. I've been talking to my girl about it, so I want to hear some of the same thoughts, ideas come up. Men tend to have a slightly different perspective than women do. And I'll say the social pressures are different, too, so I'm just ready to hear what, if I could pick up some gems, I can learn something and maybe offer something too.
Man, that's what's up, AR. Glad to have you here. Community, be patient. I know we've had some glitches. It is still storming here in the Bay Area. People are still without power. Our internet's in and out. People are falling off. One of our guests, I just see they got dropped off. But listen, we're going to do our best to have this conversation today and make it what it should be. And that's what we're here to do, change the narrative, have these taboo conversations, have these stigma conversations for our community, because I think only way we can make change and have these different perspectives is you got to listen to the people. So, I'm excited for that. Want to say we just excited. Want to give a huge shout out to all of the AKAs. We got some support coming from our AKAs community. Want to give them a huge shout out this morning. I had brunch with some phenomenal AKA folks, and them ladies were so phenomenal. And we got some other commitments as well. So we just excited. Shout out to all the AKAs. And then to all my other people that's supposed to be supported. Where you at? Where are my Deltas at? All my Zetas, Big Blue, where y'all at? Come support the Bishop. All right. Big Red, I love y'all, my Delta sisters out there. But AKAs, we love y'all. Thank you for supporting both sides of the conversation and just uplifting us, because that's what it's all about. But we go get into today's events, world news soon. It's been some tragic stuff going on. Before I get into the world news, this storm has brought disaster to California. So again, community, make sure we uplift people in prayers. There's a lot of folks dealing with it right now. We haven't had this type of storm flooding in years because of the drought. We have road closures. We have highways being shut down. People's homes are being flooded. Unfortunately, we have lost a number of people here in the Bay Area who drowned in vehicles going through puddles. So I just want to tell the community, okay, be safe out there. All right. If you're driving somewhere and you see a puddle on the road, be careful. Try not to go through it, because you might think it's lower than what it is. It actually might be more. So just be careful. I know it's still raining through Monday through probably Wednesday, and they say it's supposed to clear up on Thursday, but just be safe out here. Stay warm. I know a lot of folks are going out to Martin Luther King festivities all Monday. Be safe while you're traveling. Pay attention. Okay. This weather is been taking us out, and there's puddles all over the road. So just be safe out there, community, as we get through this storm. Like I said before, through the storm, there's a blessing coming. So let's get ready, enjoy some of this good weather. And I can't go no farther without saying, let's go 49ers. What a great win. We are doing our thing. So I got to represent my Niners. I got my red on today to represent my Niners. But yeah, the 49ers won yesterday, victorious over the Seattle Seahawks, or we should say Seagulls. All right, we are going to the next round. We'll find out later this week who are we going to be playing. So we're getting excited about that. But great job to the Niners. Shout out to all the Niner fans. It was a great game, and we'll see what plays out for the rest of the year. All right, with that being said, we're going to jump into the news, some of our events, and we'll get started with today's conversation. We just talked about the news, but they are still predicting 20 to 50 miles per hour winds over the next couple of days. So community, be safe out there. These winds, especially when you're driving across the bridges and some of these highways, the wind are moving cars around pretty good. So be safe out there. Also, Angela Bassett made history as she took her home Best Supporting Actress at the Golden Globes. So she is now the first major actor to win in the Marvel movie for Black Panther. So shout out to that queen. Black women, excellent. Black women are doing some amazing things. And that's just great to hear that as we are approaching Black History Month. So she is making history. Love that. The University of Georgia football player Devin Welcock and recruiting staffer passed away in a tragic car accident. The player Chandler LaCroix was killed in a tragic accident in Athens, Georgia on Sunday morning. According to police, two others, 21-year-old and a 26-year-old woman, were seriously injured as the accident took place after hours after a football team celebrated their national championship win. Our condolences to that family. Tragic news to hear. But again, things of this nature are still happening in our community. But our prayers out to that family. Also, the Yeti airline plane crash that killed 68 people in Nepal was reported missing. The aircraft carrying 72 people crashed in central Nepal on Sunday, with at least 68 people confirmed to have died in the wreck. This plane was flying from Kathmandu to Pokhara when it plummeted into the ground trying to land. Unfortunate, sad news. Our prayers and condolences out to those families as well. It is tragedy still happening. We starting up the 2023 year, and there's still things happening in community. With that being said, we're going to jump into some of our community events and updates, and we'll get into today's topic. The DKI information update meeting is happening Wednesday, January the 18th, 5:30 to 7 p.m. You have to register. The register link is up on the screen. It is also on our social media handles. If you would like to know what the Dreamkeeper Initiative is doing and you would like to be a part of it or understand what's going on, please go and check out the meeting that's going place this Wednesday, the 18th, from 5:30 to 7 p.m. And it is a registered event. Also, this is a great event coming up. The Strutters are going to be doing their thing. Free dance workshop at the Bayview Opera House on Wednesday, January 18th through June the 18th, 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. at the Bayview Opera House, 4705 3rd Street in San Francisco. There's a website on there. If you are a strutter, a breakdancer, a robot, or whatever, if you from the 80s and you want to bring it back, go to this workshop. I think it's pretty cool that they're doing it. I know they started some trial classes last year, but I think it's a great environment for not only our young folks, elders in the community. If that is you and you like to strut and dance and do your thing, they got some cool workshops. Go check them out. That's some of the programming that they have at the Bayview Opera House in San Francisco. The information is up on the screen, and we will get that out to all of the community folks through our social media handles as well. Also, there is a job fair. We know there's a lot of employers laying off people across the city, across the Bay Area. There is a job fair happening, okay? Please get out there January 21st and on the 28th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. On January 24th, it's going to be at the Tenderloin Recreation Center downtown in the Tenderloin District. And then on the 28th, it's going to be at the Hamilton Rec Center. For more information, go to SFDHR. The information is on the screen. Please, community, when you come to these job fairs, okay, to my young people, to my people who may have been out of work for a while, dress up, bring your resume, bring some references, be ready to go. You might get hired right there on the spot. So please, when y'all come to these job fairs, be ready to go. A lot of these organizations or folks are ready to hire people and interview people on the spot. It's always better to be ready. So make sure you're ready when you show up. You might get hired right on the spot. Also, the Fillmore Rhythm and Blues show is happening February the 3rd, 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. at the Peacock Lounge, 552 Haight Street. All right. They got the information on there. If you want to go, if you're in the blues, you want to hear some folks doing some blues stuff, please check out this event. It's going to be cool. A lot of folks is going to be out there. So it's going to be great. Also, save the date for the Dreaming Forward. That is coming up. The Dreaming Forward is a celebration of Black joy and Black excellence. That is Thursday, February the 9th, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. For more information, reach out to the Dream Keepers at www.dreamkeepers.com. Great information coming up for that event. Also, they're having another DKI community event that is taking place February the 16th. They're going to be doing these monthly to make sure community is abreast it and knowing what's going on with the DKI initiative. Also, our Both Sides of the Conversation annual bowling event is happening Saturday, February the 18th, 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. All right, this is going to be a registered event, and it's going to be free to the community, but you still have to register. It's going to be at Seabow in Pacifica. For all the people that is interested, please reach out to us. We'll be putting out our Eventbrite link real shortly for you to register so we can get a head count, know who's coming, and get ready for this event. Also, we are still looking for people to sponsor the event. For all of you folks that's talking about equity, I want to help out. I want to support. Reach out to us at info@BSOTC. We are looking for support from community organizations, and folks that are helping out community folks do this. This is a great event. It's our annual Black History Bowl event for our organization in honor of my mom. It's a great event. Check it out. Check out our videos from last year on YouTube. It's going to be great. Also, the monkeypox vaccination is still available every Thursday from 11:30 to 2:30 p.m., 701 Alabama Street. They also going to be doing flu shots and things of that nature. So please make sure you get there every Thursday if that's what you need. Also, the Peace Parks, they are still doing their Friday night funds for our young people, 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Hamilton Rec Center, 1600 Gary Boulevard. If you have young folks that you want to have them to get involved with activities so they can be doing something not on the streets during the Friday evening, please check out the Peace Parks, their Friday night event. It is a great event. Get our young people off the street, send them there. They're doing haircuts, different things of that nature, and it should be a great event. Also, the Saturday Family and Fun Day is still going on through the year. My guy, Nate Forrest, shout out to the Rebels. Every second and fourth Saturday, they are still doing events for families, young people, taking them to sporting events and things of that nature. So we're looking forward to that, and we are excited to know that our young people are still getting opportunities for the community. Also, our both sides of the conversation volunteer support. We still looking for volunteers, folks who want to give back. You might have a skill set. You might know something. Come check us out. We are looking for volunteers to help out in the community. Please, community, don't just sit there and say, I want to help out. I want to do something. We have some real opportunities to help out and advance what we're doing to impact the community. And there's a number of other community organizations that we are working with that need volunteer support as well. So reach out to us. We'd be loving to have you come support the work that we're doing. Also, you can support us through our Amazon Smile. Maybe you don't have time. You're like, John, I'm too busy. You can support us through Amazon Smile. No extra charge to you, but every time you purchase something, if you go on Amazon Smile and choose both sides of the conversation as one of your charitable organizations, 0.5% of your purchases will be sent to our organization to help us out, and you can do it without no extra cost to you. And ladies, I know you're shopping. Okay, I see the Amazon trucks driving up and down the street every day. Don't tell me you're not shopping, okay? I see y'all sneaking out the house, grabbing your packages, running in the house, hiding them before your husband come home. Listen, if you don't want me to say anything, if you don't want me to bust you out, you better choose both sides of the conversation as one of your charitable organizations, okay? Because we're watching, all right? I'm going to be calling you, say, if you don't, all right, support us. So that's one way you can support us. I think that's very important. Every dollar in this organization that we get goes back to the community, goes back to our young people, goes back to the elders, but it also elevates the work that we are doing here at both sides of the conversation. So please make sure you get out and support us. Also, if this is your first time watching, maybe it's your second time, make sure you go on all of our social media handles, follow us, subscribe, like, check us out. We everywhere. We on Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. Check us out at both sides of the conversation. We're looking to see you real soon. Tap in and see what we got going on. Also, we have our Hidden Gem show every Tuesday at 7 p.m. that is coming up. And we are always excited about our Hidden Gem segment every Tuesday where we highlight our Black and brown businesses, our community leaders and organizers and folks that are doing positive things to impact the community. Come find out who's impacting our community. This Tuesday, we'll be live at 7 p.m. Also, our Educational Thursday is every Thursday. We're going to have one. We're announcing who it is. We're trying to work out the logistics. But this Thursday, one thing has changed with our Educational Thursday. We will now have our Educational Thursdays at 7 p.m. as well. We originally was doing it at 6 o'clock, and we're going to adjust the time for one more hour so that we can have enough both sides of the conversation to support and also give our guests an opportunity who are here locally to get through traffic and get home to do their presentations. But we are still open for folks in the East Coast and the Midwest that want to be doing presentations. We'll work with them as they book, but we are still looking for folks to book and support our Educational Thursday. Understand, Educational Thursday is very important for our Black and brown community. When folks come on here with different professional backgrounds and bring these presentations to our community, it really brings education and awareness to our community. So we are excited when you volunteer to come on and educate our community about finance, mental health, housing, whatever it is. I think it's very important to get that information to our community. So if that is you, if you are listening to the bishop right now, and you have a PowerPoint presentation, and you would like to bless the people with some information, please do sign up on our website for our Educational Thursday. Also, next Sunday, we have our youth conversation coming up. They're talking about financial literacy on the 24th. So make sure you support the youth. Come listen to them as they're trying to build generational wealth. They're trying to talk about how they're going to save and make impact and change the narrative. All right. With that being said, enough of me. Y'all have heard enough of the events. It is time to get into today's conversation. I want to go through some of the information that we found out about the obsession of BBL cosmetic surgery. The overall cosmetic surgery over the past decade has increased. Surgical procedures have become increasingly popular. We see them all over the place getting these work done. The trend has been driven by procedural innovation as well as access to the internet and social media. Consequently, patients have been seeking cosmetic surgeries at younger ages, which also causes negative effect. Interest in cosmetic surgery procedures in the United States have steadily increased in the recent 1 or 2 years in American Society of Plastic Surgery, what they have reported in 2020, about 15 million people has committed to getting cosmetic surgery. It's a phenomenal thing. I don't know, but in the Black community, especially, there's disproportionately fewer individuals pursuing it. But some of the folks who do pursue it have had issues and different things of that nature. So the cost of this is very high. It could go from anywhere from $7,000 to $14,000 to $100,000. Interesting stuff. People are flying into different countries to get these type of things done. So today we're going to talk about it, and we're going to figure out what's going on. What's the obsession? Why does everybody want to be perfect? I don't know. That's just some of my thoughts. But with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and bring up our guest today. One of our guests logged off, lost service. We'll try to get her back. Miss Khalees Hollis. Welcome to Both Sides of the Conversation. Say hello to the people.
Hello, everyone.
All right. Next, we have William Palmer. He's coming back. Y'all seen him on the Man Cave show. He has a phenomenal perspective. William, welcome back to Both Sides of the Conversation, brother.
What's up, community? I'm back. You know what I'm about. Let's get it going.
Man, definitely. This is a very, very important conversation. I wish Pretty Tony was here to give us another perspective. But today, we're going to try to get Lisa back. I know she was trying to get us, get some service. And I think I want to start off with this question to all of us, and we could bump it around and talk about it on all angles. But why is it so many Black women getting this surgery, knowing that there's high risk of infection and or death? And anybody can start. We're just going to have a conversation. Community that's watching, if you're on our YouTube, use the live chat. Go on our Facebook, make a comment. We want to hear from you. Go ahead, y'all. Let's talk about this.
Well, speaking from a person that has had cosmetic surgery, I can say that, yes, there's complications, but people have survived them. I mean, you have folks that are actually living and they look good. I mean, we don't know up close and personal, but from what you can see on TV and in the media, they look good. It's well proportioned. They're curvy. They have this Coke bottle shape, and the skin tone looks remarkable. It's smooth. And I don't know if it's camera fixed and you don't see any cellulite or anything, but it looks good. And so you're thinking in your mind, I think I can go through with this and I'll be a successful individual. So why not? Because what media paints as that perfect person or the perfect shape, the perfect look, it looks good. It looks good to the eye. So, I mean, you feel like I'm going to jump the gun. You talk to the surgeon and they paint a beautiful picture as well. There's a low percentage rate. You will survive. There will be no issues. You're in good hands.
Right.
Wow.
I think it starts with desirability, right? Like socially, I think we say that sexy looks a certain way. We say that beauty looks and now is shaped a certain way, right? And I feel like in terms of acceptance, in terms of being in a relationship and feeling desirable, right? Feeling like, you know, even if a woman doesn't necessarily want to do it to attract men, she still wants to feel, and you could correct me, you know, if I'm wrong, right? Because you're a woman, I'm not a woman, but I would imagine, right, as a human being, that a woman would want to feel desirable. I want to feel desirable. I want to feel attractive. I want to feel my best when I leave the house, regardless of if I want to be bothered or if I want all the attention, you know, if I don't want any attention, right? So I think social pressures is what kind of like has morphed what beauty is. Because I was thinking, right, and this could be kind of like a question, right? And if society said that obesity was sexy, right? I mean, there'd be no need to have all of these people getting these surgeries to, you know, fine tune, you know, these curves and these little spots and these little whatever it is that they want to do, right? If obesity was sexy, right, you could just do whatever you want to do. You can be whatever, you can be higher, you can come however you come in the package. You don't got to change anything. So I feel like a lot of it has to do with what, you know, the media, whether it's social, whether it's music videos, whatever, says is beautiful. And in our communities, that's a lot of where we get our information from. You know, unfortunately, it's social media, music videos, magazines, and movies.
Totally agreed.
I like to take it back to the beginning of our civilization, right? And before we bring it forward into the present, women have always been beautifying themselves for whatever reason, whether it's for their man, for themselves, for cultural reasons. We can look back at traditional uh, customs where men and women participate in scarring the face, and so on and so forth. So, looking at it from a cultural perspective, we understand that this happens. When we look at it from today, though, our culture today, like the brother said, if obesity, which there are singers who are obese that they're trying to say it's okay. Is it? Is it okay to be unhealthy and obese, or is it okay to be somewhat overweight, which isn't the same as being obese, while you're eating right, exercising as much as necessary? And so we know that the media in our day have always sent women to extremes to morph into what they consider is the standard of beauty. And the crazy thing about it is when Black women are the standard of beauty, they still parade a Kim Kardashian even over a Beyonce. You know, they want to put up a white woman who's gone through cosmetic surgery to look like a Black woman and say, see, this is the standard of beauty. And we can't allow that psychology to continue to plague our community. We can't continue to be so insecure and so vulnerable to mass media that we're allowing a white male dominant white supremacist viewpoint, and in some cases a white female feminist viewpoint, to continue to tell us who we are. And it's just come out. We already know, those who study books, go to libraries from Timbuktu, we already knew this information, but it's just now coming out that the first person in Europe that they uncovered a full skeleton and did the DNA markup and the recreation was a dark-skinned Black woman from Africa. And so why are we continuously not understanding who we are, which is the first law, know thyself? Well, the first law is self-preservation. The second, how to do that, is the first, know thyself. How do we continue to fall in the same traps, even as knowledge in the palm of our hand, as we say, as a smartphone? We continue to fall in the same traps and use the most man-made ways of destroying our natural beauty. And I digress.
But William, I got a thing with this that I see we go into the history in the future, but I mean, one of the things that's really a concern to me is, it was a time where they fringed upon Black women for having big butts, for having big breasts, right? It was like that was not the cool thing, right? But now the world, again, as you talk about the influence, Black folks are the influencers of the world, right? They follow a trend. So they originally was the ones doing the cosmetic surgeries to become what the Black woman was already being. But then somehow it reversed to where now the sisters want to get this perfect, I mean, like they already had it. So I think the mental health part of it is one part, but I mean, how do we view ourselves? Because I just feel like every time the folks that are the oppressors, are the systemic, whatever you want to call it, they always fringe upon what we do, but then they take over and do what we doing, and then somehow we want to flip what we're doing into their culture or the way they do it. How do we distinct that line when it comes to our young ladies? And I mean, this is a concerning conversation for me because we have young women, like the statistic was saying, who are putting their lives at risk, sometimes their health, to get these type of surgeries, right? If you're a 20-year-old woman, you're still developing and growing, and you put these implants in or butt jobs or whatever it is, you're putting yourself at risk. But like you said, we glorify it so much to where it's okay. I want to do it.
It's a business. People are making money off of people scarring themselves and potentially killing themselves. That's what the medical industry that we have as Western man-made medicine has always been about how much money can we make on the destruction of people. The pills they give us, you know, mask the symptoms, but while creating a new disease, and we continue to participate. So, like you said, it is a mental illness. Black people out of slavery have never gone through a mental cleansing of the torture and trauma that suffered through that. And I know we've been bringing that it's not an excuse, but we've been bringing that up a lot. But it's very much at the heart of the issue. The second thing is the women with the biggest back end, right, in South Africa, when they were first discovered by Europeans, were held up as zoo animals. They were literally in a cage and held up to see, look, and you know their backside would protrude like greatly, like it looked exaggerated. So, like you said, it is so wonder. And again, it goes back to controlling the narrative. We created hip hop. Then people from another culture comes, manage it, distributes it, tells you what you can and cannot say, and now they're making the most money out of it. And we're sitting back going, can we even own our rights to our artistry? I say that to say the same thing is happening in in the cosmetic industry. Cosmopolitan, Cosmo, the magazine, told our women, both black and white, for decades, what it meant to be a strong, independent, beautiful woman. And now it comes out, admittedly, it was all a lie to sell products. And so when are we going to get to the point to where we stop believing lies, even when we tell them to ourselves, and we start to be on our square, start to walk our spiritual path and be okay with what we have? Now, there is an exception to the rules. Like, I'm not stone on you can't do nothing. Like, I don't have one tattoo on me. Doesn't mean I wouldn't open up a tattoo parlor and make some money off it. Don't get me wrong. But when if you suffer like from fire and they have to reconstruct your nose on your face and put your lips back where it was, that's understandable. You want to be as less affected by a scar or an accident or a situation as possible. If you broke your finger, you need to put it back in place and go on to surgery. That's all understandable. But these elected cosmetic surgery, putting ourselves at risk when sister, and I'm only talking to the sisters right now. Everybody else, all other cultures, I'm not talking to you right now. Sister, your nappy hair, your big nose, your big lips, your thigh, your waist, how big is beautiful as it is. I love them all. Big, tall, short, fat, skinny, all. Because it takes that type of variety to make us a whole community. There's a man for everybody. There's a woman for everybody. So I want our sisters to know and be appreciated for who you are. You don't have to have hips and ass. You don't have to have big titties or little titties. You don't have to be tall, short. You just have to be a kind woman, a nurturing, beautiful, kind, and sometimes quiet woman. That's it. And you're
William, I
the most beautiful
appreciate
person in
that.
the world. Especially the last part, the quiet part. Cosmetic your lips shut and just give you a little opening. You the most beautiful thing God ever created. I'm just kidding.
Go ahead, Colleen. Take a shot at that because
I mean, wow, that was a lot said there. So as a kid, I remember Barbie, right? The doll Barbie. So we've grown up with Barbie. I mean, here recently, what's her name? Nicki Minaj, Barbie. It's all about that Barbie. I mean, as girls, we would take the Barbie, feel the legs on the Barbie, feel the curves on the Barbie. So we got infatuated with Barbie. So what do you think that does to a young, growing, sponge absorbent mind for a kid, a little girl? She wants to look like Barbie, right? So that's always going to be in the back of her mind. So as she's growing up and eating, grubbing, starving, whatever it is, and you got to keep in mind, when we're created, our DNA is written a certain type of way. So if you're going to be a big boned girl, 5'11", 6 foot, 300-pound woman, you just may be that. So regardless, but when you're growing up playing with these Barbies, it's like, oh man, and you start eating and you're growing into something else. Seventh grade come in and you don't look like Barbie, and you start expanding in areas that Barbie don't have. And so it's like, it's in your mind. So that's when kids start teasing and, poking fun and, big booty fat girl, or, big busty, all these names impact girls' minds, right? So they're thinking back to that doll, all these dolls that come out, and they're like, I'm gonna do something about this. So then you have young girls that'll starve themselves, belligerent. They'll, it gets kind of, it gets to the mental. It really does for women.
So, Khalees, are you going to sit here as a lady and admit that women are in fantasy land when it comes to the Barbies and how they? We've been having this conversation a while, but I mean, I think that fantasy part is the triggering. I mean, I'm glad you brought that up about Barbie, because me and William, I know in the man cave, we talked about, this imaging and how the media portrays this stuff to our community. But I think William actually had said that last time about the Disney and the fantasy of princess and all this stuff, and it destroys the young people and the people of our community as they get older, and they have this mindset of this fairy tale, of this fantasy. Now you roll that into today with cosmetic surgery, and it's the same thing. Hey, it started off as the big lip challenge. I remember they was sucking on cups and doing stuff to blow their lips up. Then it turned into the thighs and this, right? And it's like, the biggest concerns when we talk about the pros and cons of it. I think this is why these conversations are so important, because our young people in the community need to hear these conversations, as well as the parents, because it is some 16-year-old girl or 20-year-old girl or young 30-year-old girl out there who's considering to do these surgeries because they feel like, hey, like AR said, our rappers, our movie stars, our celebrities, they getting Botox, they doing this, they look perfect. I mean, how do we sell to our young ladies in the community that it's okay? You don't have to be perfect. Is that something we have to do as men in the community? Or how do we get that mind shift to start in our community? Because as we start moving this conversation along, we talk about some of the impacts of these surgery, right? Some of the things that don't go well that people don't talk about. And I think AR said this a couple of weeks. In social media, everything looks great. You go on people's Instagram, Facebook, everybody's happy. Everything is good. Everybody's traveling. But nobody talks about the pain. Nobody talks about the issues. Nobody talk about the failures. How do we get that into our social media, into our narrative? And that's why this conversation is so important, because we have to also show the unsuccessful surgeries, the things that could go wrong, the doctors whose license was revoked and they still was performing cosmetic surgery because they don't care about Black folks. They're not doing the license checks. They're not making sure that these practices are doing everything by the medical book, right? In our community, we make a complaint, they don't listen anyway. Those are the conversations as we get to that we got to talk, because that's the stuff that really goes on, right? And how those doctors who have those botched surgeries go below the medical screening, and they hide information and they still get to practice because they're not on that level of other doctors. So I'm just saying, it happens so much, but we don't hear about it. And I think that's why this conversation is important today.
Well, let's talk about it, because I mean, you said a lot there, and I have a lot to say. And so I'm gonna give you a great example. So when kids are growing up, they can be cruel. They tease, they talk about different things that is not acceptable in their eyes, or what they think that's not perfect. So they tease. So I personally, I was one of those kids that was on the heavier side, because my family's Southern, right? They Southern, I'm talking about 5'11", 300-pound women, tall, big boned women that can cook. So there was nothing held back in my house. I could eat all I want. So I grew up. But I was also busty, extremely busty. So I came up in that era where guys would tease, girl running down the street, things going different directions. And it's like, wow, and they tease. So here I have this image. Okay, I guess you're supposed to be smaller up top and bigger at the bottom. Playing with these dolls, seeing society, watching BET, the videos, MTV videos, and how the women looked on there. It highly impacted, in my mind, what a girl should look like. And so, as soon as I got old enough, and I had my second child, I was like, you know what? I think I want to have surgery. I want to get a breast reduction. I do, because I'm evidently just way too busty. So it's on your DNA. If you have kids and you have daughters, it's going to pass along. more than likely. Nonetheless, I had a breast reduction, but I had a breast reduction 1 month after I delivered my son. And the surgeon should have thought, and I should have gotten a second opinion, but when you're younger, you don't think all these things through. You just want to get straight to results. I talked to the surgeon. We're going to schedule her for surgery. 1 month after I had just delivered a child, I had surgery, a breast reduction. So, what do you think was still left in my breast after having this breast reduction? Milk. So, 8 weeks, 10 weeks, the milk's going to dry up, right? Because you're not breastfeeding. When it dried up, I was left smaller than what I was used to and smaller than what the results that were promised to me. So I was very insecure and felt like something's missing. This just isn't right. So it led to another surgery. Here we go, 20 years down the line. Let's fast track. This mental torment for all 20 years would go through my mind. I feel so inadequate. I feel small up top. This just isn't right, you know? And so that's something that will kind of haunt you. I could do something about it. Okay, I'm gonna go fork over some more money, right? And I think that it may be safer to get fat transfer or fat grafting because that's what's in now, right? People are getting the BBLs, they're getting fat taken from one part of the body and put into another. Well, you have to be careful with that because if you don't do all your homework and really research these physicians, I'm talking about reading reviews, find the proper technique, and don't try to go the cheaper route, it can really lead you into a multitude of danger. So 20 years later, let's go ahead and make the decision to do fat transfer because I think that that may be safe. Everyone talks about how implants are not safe. Let's do fat transfer. Plus, it's my body, my tissue, and if I'm transferring from one area to another, I should be good. Not so true. So here I go to Florida, right? Go to Florida. They're cheaper. Don't have to stay in California. Run down to Florida and I want to do fat transfer. And they tell me, okay, well, I have a history of anemia. So you can get the cell saver. The cell saver will prevent you from being so anemic after surgery. So what it does is it recycles the blood that you lose during cosmetic surgery and it saves it. And so that it can recycle back into your body. How do you know if that actually, after you pay the extra money for that, that they're actually performing that technique during the surgery? Because you're out. You're totally out. So after this fat transfer in Florida, I had to go in the next day for my post-op. What happened to me standing on my feet? I pass out. I've never passed up standing up in my life. It happened twice. So what they did is they grabbed me when I came to, and I seen them fanning me and wiping alcohol swabs on my nose. And I'm like, what is happening? Because I was talking and that's all I remember. And so after all was said and done, I ended up coming back to California and my hemoglobin was like at 6.5. That is extremely low, extremely low. So I had to have emergency blood transfusions, all kind of chaos happened. But it was nerve-wracking. Some of the doctors will not explain to you in great detail post-op requirements that are necessary in order for you to be okay after you elect to have these services. It wasn't explained to me about a variety of things, especially with fat transfer, because with fat grafting, you have to eat a lot of protein, high protein rich meals after the fat transfer so that you can feed the fat, right? So it'll stay healthy. I think I may have starved myself. So there's something called fat necrosis. Fat necrosis is when there's a coagulation or a bundle of fat tissue that can get together and get kind of hard, sort of hardened. And so what will happen is when you get to the age where you have to go have mammography for breast cancer screenings, it'll show up as lumps and it kind of heightens the radiographer's attention because it looks like it could be cancer. And oftentimes they have to do a sonogram after that because now you just lit up a camera full of lumps. So they do the sonography and they see that, oh, okay, these are coagulations of fat cells, also known as fat necrosis, where the fat cells die and they form little nodules. Okay, so now I've starved myself. What happens again? It all shrinks back down. So I'm feeling inadequate still. I just spent all this money in Florida. What's happening here? I've had 2 surgeries and I'm still not satisfied. A couple years later, I'm going to go get implants then. So it's kind of, you open yourself up without accepting yourself and knowing that you have to do that 360 in the mirror and say, you know what, I'm pleased, I'm happy. No, you have to do that. And it has to start early. Come on, AR.
First of all, I'm just sitting here and I'm just listening, and I'm just like, first of all, it was so I want to say brave and bold of you to share that. I don't know how many people watching this, but and it really, even if it's just us, right? Like I just commend you for that, and just all the women. I don't know, like I'm sitting there, my girl right here, so I kind of grabbed her hand and just made me think, like, man, women go through a lot, in terms of just navigating this world, and something that I want to say, because I can't even add to that, right? But what I want to say, is, you know, William, he mentioned spirituality, and where he was going with that, I don't know. But what I'm going to say in terms of spirituality is, the Bible says that we should love our neighbor as we love ourselves, right? But that means we have to start with loving ourselves. And the problem is, if children aren't taught that, they can't spread love, which means that you're not getting your perception of acceptance and what is cool and what's fashionable and what's attractive, and it becomes based on the lack of validation you're getting, the lack of love that you're getting, right? When I say you, I'm not talking about you, specifically, but I say all of us, right? And so I think it's so fundamental, speaking of what John was talking about, like, how do we change this, right? Like, unfortunately, a lot of our leaders and influencers are people who are kind of sucked up into it too, right? And they're kind of part of the problem. And so they're pushing this message out by participating. And they could be insecure, they could be any of these things, right? But if they're not acknowledging the surgeries that went bad, if they're not acknowledging the doctors that lost their licenses and can no longer practice, or the shady dealings that goes with this stuff, right? Like, it doesn't allow people who are looking up to these people as symbols of hope, symbols of attractiveness, symbols of beauty, and whatever sexy means to them, right? Like, it distorts truth. It distorts it. And so now it's kind of like we're fending for ourselves, trying to figure out how to make ourselves feel better, how to make ourselves feel love, right? We're really just searching for love and self-acceptance. And you have a whole practice designed to basically take advantage of that, because there's money in it. And it's like, that's just I'm gonna watch my language. That's messed up. That's messed up. You know what I mean? And it's just like, I think the biggest thing is teaching our children to love themselves. Like, what, God made you a certain way, right? And there's somebody for you. This is where that faith in God comes in, right? There's somebody for you out there, right? But the biggest thing, right, when William was kind of hit on too, is the internal beauty, right? Somebody go find this beautiful. It's gonna be somebody that finds this beautiful, but it's who are you on the inside, and that's what we kind of manifest on the outside, right? The insecurity, we put it on, right? Some dudes, they buy watches and chains and cars. We manifest an insecurity externally. Some women, they go get surgery, or they do whatever they do, right? Because that insecurity, that lack of love for self, it manifests externally, and we want to hide it. We want to hide it. We want to make ourselves feel attractive, and really, we just substituting a lack of self-love. That's really what it is, So I think really the biggest thing, like, I couldn't even give an answer for that, John, but I think it starts with each individual recognizing, like, I'm valuable, right? Anybody listening to this, know you are valuable, know that you are attractive, know that, somebody thinks you fine, somebody would love to take you out, you know what I mean? Somebody would love to spend their time with you. And I think you got to look in the mirror and make that voice the loudest voice in your world, not the voice on social media, not the people you following with 100+ follows and blue checks and all of these exterior, like, a lot of it is BS. You know what I mean? We put a lot of value on stuff that don't have value, right? And so we end up trading the things that are valuable for the things that have no value, because we flip what truth is. We flip what love looks like. We flip what beauty looks like. All right. So I don't know. Self-love is like where it's at. Self-love. Thank you for sharing.
Oh, absolutely.
I wanted to continue that. It is very psychological, right? Women, especially even young girls, are told that your worth is in your body. So I got to get my worth out of this body before it turns into grandma. That's what's going through their head. Like I got to use what I have to get what I want. But everything takes hard work. Nothing in life that comes of value doesn't require hard work. And we have some degree of control of how our bodies look like. If I want bigger muscles, guess what? I go to the gym, work out for about 2 years, eating right, pumping that iron, doing what I got to do. And after a while, I look at my body and go, wow, that's exactly how I want it to look. And I'm okay with it because guess what? I earned that. I worked for that and it's staying. And so when we're talking about our women, how many young girls are in the presence of mature women who are secure in themselves and teaching them by example of how to carry themselves in their life? How
So,
many young girls are going to school and getting the reassurance from their peers that you're a great person because of who you actually are and not what clothes you wear, not what hairstyle you rocking, not what makeup you sporting, not all this materialistic stuff that's on the outside of you, but I like you because of who you are inside. You don't know how many women I've dated who gave me a laundry list of things that are wrong with them so that I'll be forewarned when it presents themselves and I won't run out the door. I'm gonna still run out the door because once I see him, I'm gonna be scared. So that's a what we should be looking at is how do we fix the eternal problems that we all have, men too. I just saw a video of a man who got the same kind of surgery, and his arms look like bowling balls,
mhm.
not muscle, balloons. He had breasts, not a chest. It wasn't a plate there. It was round and he thought he was something. I'm like, dude, you look like a buffoon. You look like a literal balloon character that clowns make to entertain children. So this is a lot of psychological things that are going on, right? And I think as a community, we got to get back to one man, one woman, one child, and what this nuclear family looks like. Although I know there are alternatives with other communities, and that's fine. There's monogamy, there's polygamy. I'm just saying that the unit of a family encouraging each other, healing each other, walking with each other in a way that each one is teaching one. And when you see that person, like he said, your neighbor, right, and how we love each other, when's the last time, and instead of a man trying to pick you up and talking about how fine you is, really just say, hey, sister, man, you got a shine glowing. I really appreciate that. Thank you. And walk. Not can I get your number? Not can I, get with you? Just appreciating our women and our little girls. And I don't have any children, but I've always thought if I ever had a little girl and somebody come up to them, because I'm bright. So most likely no matter who I marry, my little girl gonna be bright. um, to come up and tell, oh, how you look so beautiful. No, don't tell my little daughter that she looks beautiful, grown man. She don't need to hear that from me. She got a daddy. She knows she look good. I need you to tell her how smart she is, how athletic she is, how brilliant, how innovative she is, how much of a leader she is. I need you to pump her inner character, not this outside stuff that's going to fade and move and shake and do all these other things, right? And that's what we need to do as a community, really reinforcing the great qualities that make a young girl grow up into a phenomenal woman.
William, it has to start really early. Like earlier what John was asking, I believe that it really needs to start early. And if it's not instilled at home, because in our cultures, we're raised in church where it's church is just pounded in us while we're growing up, right? Well, we're not thinking about outside of that. This is an individual, this is a person. You know how they have high school success, we need something like life success, but it has to start really early, really early.
No, I agree. I mean, straight out the womb, already formatting what names we name our children. I love the creativeness of Black folks naming their children after wine and cars. But if we actually name them after,
And after
actually,
Titty.
yeah,
Hmm.
people that are famous, that are righteous, that have done something for our community, and so on and so forth. It starts right at birth. The name that we give them, the culture that they're born into, you know. So you're absolutely right. And I want to even move on to even say and include the foods that we're eating are contributing to the chemical imbalance, which contributes to the psychological imbalance in our beings. It really is. This is why spiritual books have a diet in it. They have diets in it, what you can and cannot eat, how you should grow it, how you should kill animals, so on and so forth, right? And this chemical imbalance, these chemicals that are killing us in our foods are also creating our little girls to blossom faster, creating our little boys to uh, wonder if their body is shaped more like a female or a man. Uh, so we have people who believe that they're born thinking their gender is a certain way, and I'm not saying it isn't. I'm saying we know that this is the case, but we never are able to have the other side of the conversation that says, is it due to what we are eating and putting into our bodies?
And I would have to agree with you. I think our nutrition and food, processed food, plays a big part of this. But William, you're triggering the women. They texted me. My daughter's name is Alizé. I named my kid Hennessy. What is he talking about?
My daughter's name is Brandy.
I love the name. It sounds great, but it is not Afrocentric, right? So even with our cultural names that uplift us, we're abandoning them for something that we are intoxicated by, right? And so, and going on with the surgery, now we're allowing little kids who don't even have the ability to tell you what time their bedtime should be, is deciding to go under the knife to tell you what their gender look on their outside should be. Now, if you don't think that that is something to be concerned about, then we need to have another side of this conversation.
I agree.
All of the hypnotics out there, we apologize. We didn't mean if your name is hypnotic.
I thought cognac was a beautiful name.
Everybody knows champagne. Everybody knows champagne.
Yes,
Hey,
yes.
nobody be my cousin Ricka Nola. So ain't nobody got that name but her.
Ricka Nola.
Yes.
I mean, I
Well,
think that. Go ahead, College.
so AR, I'm just thinking back to you in about your significant other. So this is a good idea. I'm gonna paint a picture for you all. So the second surgery or the third surgery I had was actually in Las Vegas because I felt, well, I'll be closer to California. Maybe they'll have it together, right? So I would suggest that anyone that's considering having surgery actually go into the facility that's going to be performing it, right? Because you have a lot of folks there the day after, and you're going to get a great visual, a great visual up close and personal. So those Brazilian butt lifts, I tell you, they scare me to death. I seen a boatload of women, and I say it's like an assembly line. Okay, it's like an assembly line. That's why you can turn over probably a good 10 people, each surgeon about 10 to 15 surgeries a day, because it's like an assembly line, and they're doing it quick, and that money's coming in uncut. I mean, cash. You get discounts for paying cash because they don't want the percentages knocked off for the credit cards. They even offer you cosmetic care, like a line of credit specifically for your cosmetic surgery. So I go in there and I see probably about 15 women that are on their knees, slumped over a chair that had a Brazilian butt lift, because you can't sleep on your backside and you can't sit on there where they just transferred all that fat to, because it won't shape right. And to be honest with you, in a high production cosmetic surgery place like Florida or Vegas or wherever you go, that's kind of cheap, less than, I'd say, 10 grand. Because be honest, to have a good one, you're going to spend about 20 bands, $20,000 you're going to spend for a good cosmetic surgery. So going into these high production cosmetic clinics, you got about 20 women bent over, holding a chair. They're wrapped up in bandages that are dripping in blood, and they're in they're in agony, they're in pain. And when I say pain, I almost had a tear fall from my face just seeing how much pain they were in because of the surgery. And so I have several family members that have had them, And they say you get past that after about 2 months of sleeping on your stomach and eating on your stomach and not being able to sit down at all. You cannot sit down on your backside after those Brazilians. But it's just go into a clinic. Just go into a clinic.
See, now you mess with my brain now, okay? Now you told me to see, this is why these conversations with him are so powerful and very meaningful for our conversations. Now, every time I'm on the flight and I come from these areas that Khalees is talking about, I see 10 to 12 women on the plane on their knees. They can't sit on their butt. Now I know what's going on. Oh my God.
Well, look at these spiritual sisters. You thought that
And you know what?
The bad part? Praying for us. I thought they was on their knees on the airplane saying, "Oh, get us to our land." No, they can't sit on their butt. That's what's going on. I just learned something today. Okay, the bishop is being educated. Thank you, Khalees. So now when I see the queens on their knees on the airplane, I'm saying, "Would you like some water, man? Can I help you?" That's crazy. Learn something new every day. But I think it's a lot of work, and I think these are the conversations. I think Khalees, you brought some great points, but you talked about the cost, and William, you could jump in on this because this is my disconnect that I'm still having, because in our community, when we talk about Black folks, we are so against the healthcare system, right? We don't trust doctors. So I'm still trying to process this. Why do these women think it's okay? If we don't trust doctors to do our day-to-day maintenance and go to the hospital, why are we trusting these doctors to cut us up to make us look perfect? I don't get that part. And then the cost, $20,000, $30,000 to do these surgeries. I mean, come on. Like, what's going on?
They show you pictures. They show you before and afters. They show you pictures. They have a big book full of pictures, befores and afters. And that's about 8 weeks post-op, but they're not going to show you the bad pictures. I mean, I've watched Botched faithfully. And sometimes things are lumpy. They're one side may be bigger than the other. It just depends how your body can absorb it. And with breast implants, there's something called capsulation. And what happens is it'll be hard as a rock, the whole implant. Your body's rejecting it, and it will not soften. It's going to be hard. So I know someone that has had the implants removed and had new ones put in 3 separate occasions. And she's had capsular breast capsulation 3 times. I know I'm not saying that right, but when I say that it's horrible, they're hard as a rock. You can't even grab them. It's like picking up a hard cup. And so she has to get them taken out. John, are you okay?
3 times the charm. You're right. If you don't own your own house outright, if your college tuition isn't paid off, if you still making loan payments on the car, and you spend 10 to 20 racks on some fake titties, you need some psychological. You need to go see the therapist, because you're right, John. We don't trust doctors in Western medicine as rightfully we shouldn't. But yet, what is driving a person? Because it's men and women nowadays. Don't get it twisted. It isn't just our sisters. So I know we started with our sisters, but we including the men as well, going in, spending that much money again on an outer surface reality that is shifting and changing every day. We are going to get old and wrinkly and die and turn into dust with some plastic falling off in the casket. What's this?
Did you just say plastic?
They're gonna open up
William,
years from now and find plastic. Like, what the hell? They burying robots in here? What's going on? 100 years ago, they burying simulated human beings. What's the need for that? Like, we have to think that this life is so short. It's so short that why are we wasting time and resources on something that at the end of the day, when you laying up in that casket, ain't nobody gonna go in and say, "Oh man, at least she got a good rack still, even when she's dead." Oh man, look at bruh, man. His beard is black, and his hairline is where it was when he was you know, a teenage, like this stuff don't even matter. No one's caring about these things, and it doesn't matter. And we're in the condition, the economic condition of our community, we need to be reinvesting that money into what really matters. Investing that into our kids' proper education, not this white supremacist school education that they got them in. We need to be investing that money into building our communities and buying our homes and complexes in our neighborhoods so they won't be gentrified. We need to be reinvesting this money into building our own hospitals that's based on holistic care and our own baking that makes sure we can afford what we need to buy, our own food distribution centers so that we know what's in our food, we know what we feeding each other. You know, we need to be really investing these things in the collective community rather than the individual, so that we can stand out and look like we special for about 10 years.
I think John, you about to say that? Right on. You know, I feel like society, and I'm trying to say this carefully because I ain't trying to offend the mental, like, because mental health is a real thing, right? But I also think though, like, society is grooming people to be weak mentally.
Yeah.
Right. And so if a man is losing his hair, he can't just shave it off and just say, well, I'm just gonna rock with what I got. Right. He gonna spend $5,000 to go get the little fake stuff and to do all the, you know what I mean? Like, he gonna go to where they go to Turkey or the where they go? They go somewhere.
A lot of men are doing it. I see these dudes getting these fake fades and beards. So this is not just about women. Men are doing this stuff too now. I see it. They getting glue. I see the dude had glue on his hair. I said, what's going on, brother? I gotta get my hair back.
Man, and it's almost, and I think it shifts the focus. It shifts the focus to what everybody else thinks. And so in my mind, because I consider myself a budding entrepreneur, I'm like, man, if you could spend 10,000, 20,000 on something to make yourself feel good, which I'm guilty of as well. So this is something these things I learned from experience too. I'm gonna keep it real, right? It's almost like you're not actually trying to reach the goals that you said you want to reach. You're just trying to feel better about yourself, and that is 100% a you issue. So it's a me issue. So it's like mentally, where is that fortitude, right? Like life is hard. Life is hard. It is. Nobody on here, nobody on this podcast is saying life is easy and just to go through with it and do your thing. It is difficult, but it's almost like social media, movies, etc. Everything is about leisure. Everything is about feeling good. Everything is about, I don't deserve this, so I'm gonna go and do something else. So you got people who are less willing to fight for relationships that could be fixed. You got people who are less willing to go to the gym when they could just solve whatever issue they think they have with their body. You got people who would rather, I don't know, like, it's just with diets and, the list could go on, the areas that it affects, but it's like, I don't know. Go ahead, Colleen.
Well, William first, I think he had something to say.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I was agreeing with AR, man. You right.
Well, I can share that it's a struggle, but I think that if you accept yourself early, right, and you put that in your mind early, but it all has to start early because you could be in a house full of family members that tease you as well. Your own siblings can tease you. Get into it, and they call you everything under the sun. And so now you go to school with that in your mind, and it's like, man, they had to be right. There's a bit of truth to this, because I remember I call people bald headed all the time, and it's like, sheesh, or when their edges start falling out, or then got pulled out. I mean, you can just tease people, and it really impacts their thoughts. So,
I think one of the things too that I'm like, I'm my mind is still boggled on, and I want everybody to know this conversation is real. Y'all know me. I'm always gonna try to make it fun and light, but this is definitely serious. But I think one of the concerns for me, because I keep hearing you mention about our young people. But in this trend, and you look at the statistic, there's women 45 and up who are doing these procedures more than ever. So what's going on in the mind of these elderly women that's getting up in age, right? And then the other thing is, like you said, $20,000 of surgery. Nobody's talking about to these young people. Like you said, when you do these surgeries, you might have to go back. There's maintenance. So these people that's going out here taking a tax refund, because I know a lot of these young ladies, they got a $10,000 tax return for because they got earned income credit. They fly down there, go get this work done, and then they don't know that you got to go back in 5 years to pay another $10,000 to get it adjusted, maintenance, or sometimes the jails have to be replaced or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now you're talking about over a lifetime of this surgery process, you might be $100,000-$200,000 in it. I mean, that's what it sounds like because you said it's maintenance, right?
Oh, well, if you don't keep it up, you have to work out. I mean, normally I would do 4 to 5 miles a day, and that's just been me since younger. 4 to 5 miles a day just to be healthy because there's other health issues that's in my family that I don't want. So I don't grub like I used to as a kid, but you got to keep it up. You have to keep it up because when that fat comes back, it's going to come back with a vengeance. It's going to start getting stuck in areas that you may not want it. Also, I mean, sheesh, I lost my thought, but I tell you, yeah, there you got my wheels, my wheels are turning.
Well, I mean, for me, it just I just think that's something that's just real and powerful to understand that. And I mean, our young people are considering this. So go ahead, Colin.
So you said 45-year-old and older. They had an issue long ago. They just never said nothing. Or it's been in their mind, but now they got either the guts, the courage, the money, or there's some reason why they're now going to get it because they've been wanting it. And there is things called, I think it's called a midlife crisis. Maybe they're going through a midlife crisis.
There's a couple midlife crises I've been through too, but you're absolutely right. When we get of a certain age and we're able to do something about it, we have this notion like, well, I'm old now. I could do this. It's not going to be harmful. It's not about you all the time. It's about the example you setting for your daughter and your granddaughters and great granddaughters. They see mom, grandma, whatever doing some things. Then why not me? Because I'm going to look like you. I'm going to be, I'm going to be a reflection of you. And so why not me? And so, like you said, Colin, we need to start early, and we also need to start late. For those who are late in life, really embracing our men and women and letting them know that they're cherished, that we appreciate them for their wisdom that they've collected over the years. And we would like you to continue to share your wisdom that you collected and not try to recapture your youth because it's gone. It ain't coming back. It's over with. It's a wrap. But we love you in this stage of your life, and we want you to stay around as long as possible, sharing your wisdom, and down the line all the way to our young folks, of letting them know you are our future, and we need you to be on your square. We need you to be solid. We need you to be functioning in your right mind on a daily basis, and not just when tragedy hits. Now we have to wake up and be sober and find our way out of problems. But while life is good and while life isn't, we need to be more focused on telling each other how much we love each other, how beautiful we are in our skin and how we are, and how we complement each other by the things that we do for each other. And that will take the dollars out of the hands of these plastic surgeons, because they are the ones that are giving us our self-esteem. We need to be the ones injecting self-esteem into each other. And that'll take, and turn the damn TV off. Like, we probably really need to watch less man-made stuff, even if it's made by a black person. Like, we need to probably watch less and be with each other more. I remember growing up when we used to cook popcorn and put it in the brown paper bag, butter and salt all over it, and watch a movie together. Yes, but I also remember us going to the park and barbecuing and having fun and dancing and carrying on. That was way more fun than watching a TV screen that I've already seen a million times. Like, we need to really get back to community engagement and loving each other.
And William, I'm glad you said that. And we got to really paint the picture of what a community engagement looks like. A lot of our young people aren't watching TV, but it goes back to, like you said, the social media influencers, right? These people are coming on and, watching Instagram, Facebook, different things. And the whole story is not being told, right? So it's like, we have to figure that out because our young people are getting their information. Like before, William was right. Most of our information came through, the TV, right? But now there's so many multiple streams of information. And like AR said, through the music, the movies. So it's really a shift that we have to do in our community. But then the other thing is, I seen in the chat earlier, is like you said, William, how do we create the next generation of nutrition? Because I always tell people, I think the biggest part in our community that we're losing, and this is a bigger problem, like you said, about the systemic issues in our school districts, right? The more the financial cuts that takes place in this country and in the city and county and states, they always remove the programs, right? The stuff that young people need to develop, right? So I remember when I was like, maybe in elementary, we talked about nutrition and having the different 7 parts of the day. After that, I didn't learn nothing about nutrition in high school. I had to go to college to learn a little bit more about it, right? So how do we as a community, Black community, how do we get the people in our community to develop the programs and education to teach us consistently about how we eat, the proper nutrition, and to get the produce that we need when we live in food deserts, right? So it's one thing to say we got to eat better, right? We got to eat better. We need to plan on how we eat. But then when I walk out my door, there's no healthy food for me. In the Black community, there's no Safeways. There's no grocery stores that's providing health. There's no Whole Food, Trader Joe's in most of our Black communities. So the bigger issue is, and this is why I say the holistic approach is what's needed when we advocate. And this is why it's so important for our community to get involved civically. You get what I'm saying? And do our part, because we need to make all of this happen. We got to have the resources in the community. You got to have the healthy food there. You can't have the processed food because you're giving people those options, right? And us as a community, how do we advocate and stand together and say, listen, you're not coming in the Black community and putting 20 McDonald's, 20 Burger Kings, 20 Popeyes chicken, right? We got to figure out how do we plan and get into process to develop our communities. And that's part of the planning, the development of our communities, if we really want to have change. And that civic duty starts with us all, not just the people with kids, but as a community, right? If we really want to change this narrative, but we got to give back the money that goes. And this is why these greedy corporations that take all of the money don't understand the impact when you talk about these programs that are removed from our schools. When you take away gym and PE, when you take away cooking class, when you take away the things that our kids learn to develop, we get caught in these crossfires.
Yeah. As the editor-in-chief of the San Francisco Bay View newspaper, I started a campaign called Black First Unity. And what that means is, if it's not for our liberation and our coming together and our empowerment, please, let's put that on the back burner or keep that as a private project for yourself. We really need to advocate, like John was saying, man. We really need to advocate. When I'm in City Hall advocating to end pretext stops by police that can escalate into the deaths of our men, especially if not women as well. Guess how many other Black people were in that room, minus the police commission, because there were about 2 or 3 on there. Just me and a half one. There was a mixed lady, but. Guess how many non-Black people are in that room? A lot. Advocating for what they want. And then that what they want may not be what we want. And so if we're not engaged on a political level, on a psychological level, on an educational level, on all levels of our society, right, we're always going to come up short. And if we're not about Black, not Black Christian, not Black Muslim, not Black LGBTQ, not Black entrepreneur, Republican, Democrat, keep those labels in your own personal projects. But when we come together as a community, it should be simply Black First Unity. And get rid of these bums that are always being divisive and just causing chaos. We call it fitna in Islam. Always just causing problems. Remove that problems, and it only takes a small band of us to rise up to speak for the community, and we'll get what we want.
Man, that's very powerful.
And to know that you are Black and beautiful, and if I find the right one, I'm gonna marry you and have some babies.
Hey, William, that's very powerful. I'm glad you said that. As we are coming out of Kwanzaa, we are entering the weekend of Dr. Martin Luther King. Black empowerment has to be the first of the list in 2023. I keep saying we have to invest Black. We have to spend Black. But me and you, William, as media, we have to continue to change the narrative and push the information to the people. We have to organize. We need one message. It's too much distraction. So I like how you put that, because it's too many messages. Black folks, we got to come together. We got to stick and stand on something and move forward. If it's going to be the babies, let's stick together on education. If it's going to be the housing inequities, are we going to have to departmentalize it and figure out who's going to lead those areas and take the people to the promised land? It's a lot of work we got to do. Khalees, go ahead.
What's drawing our attention? You know, like my grandmother used to say, it's either going to draw you or drive you. I mean, you put efforts into something that's going to benefit you, right? So what's drawing us? What's drawing us? I mean, the success of all my children, that's what drew me as a young mother. And so I put effort into that. I raised them in football early on up, and I needed them to get those football scholarships and go off to college and graduate. What's drawing us, you know? And so it's important. It's important. But I tell you this, having one daughter, I feed her with telling her I love her and giving her hugs and telling her how gorgeous she is. And I'm glad that she's on a roll throughout school up to today. She
Yeah.
maintains those grades. It's important because that's going to impact your future. It's going to set you straight in the direction that you're going to go. So what you're doing now, it means something. So I'm always giving her seeds of encouragement and motivation and having dates with her so that, you know, I want her to know you are beautiful. There's nothing you there's nothing else somebody else can tell you. You're beautiful, and I need you to know that.
I think and this is not, I'm not disagreeing with anybody, but I think the challenge that I see, you know, because I'm a little, well, I'm younger than y'all, no matter how much younger, right? But I see that like the influences aren't going to come from y'all though, and I say that respectfully, right? I say that respectfully. You know, like I've been on a Sunday conversation for I don't know like a month, and the thing that keeps coming to my mind is that you need people who have influence to bring attention to the people who are doing positive things, even if the people who have the influence aren't doing positive things, right? And the reason that I dare say we need that, right? And I say we because I think I'm a part of this. I think we need that because ultimately their voice is louder, and society has deemed them like leaders basically, right? Even if they're not, right? And so it's kind of like you said, if it's not driving you, it's if it's not what'd you say? You said
If it's
Khaleesi?
not drawing you, it's driving you. So it's
Right.
that
So
pull and push.
yeah, but like yeah, and so like but the thing that's drawing these younger people is are the people that they can go and click on their page and see what they posted today. Right, the people who got 100,000 followers, they put because they a lot of we put, and I say we loosely, but we put value on that. We put value on how many people care about what you have to say. Right now, if 30,000 people care about what I have to say, then maybe they'll listen a little bit more. Right, and so this is why I think family is so important. Right, because the family structure allows the micro influences to spread throughout a community. But if their family structure is messed up, they can only really turn to who's popular, right? Because there's nobody like let's say in my household, like in my household, like I had good influences, right? But I still was the knucklehead doing whatever, right? But then I had my neighbor right next door apartment. We used to knock on the wall to each other and then communicate. Like that's all, like you know what I mean. We had these tiny apartments, man. But I saw his parents go through a divorce. So it's like at one point, out of all my partners, I was the only one who had both of my parents. Right. So how does that type of situation affect your community when it comes to influence, when it comes to how to treat a woman or how to treat a man, how to stay in a relationship, how to have self-value, right? Your self-esteem, how you see relationships, how you view older black men or older black women. Like where are your influences now coming from? Right. It got to come from outside the house because you got a broken home. Right. And so like I guess what I'm really trying to say is it's like and this is this is almost like a brainstorm type of thing I'm thinking because I mean I know we're not going to solve it today, right? You know, but it's almost like there has to be enough parents who are willing to stay together. There has to be enough men who want to be there for their kids even if they're not together. There's got to be enough mothers who are going to be there, you know, and say, okay, how I feel, how I see the world, for better or worse, I have to grow so that I can be you know, that queenly example for my kids, like you were saying, Khalees. Like, it's difficult because I've been with a lot of women who didn't have fathers, right? And it's like, and then I'm able to look back now and see how the ones acted who did have fathers, and how the dynamic was so different. Just the way we communicated was different. The respect level was different, right? And it's just like that is what affects the community. And then and it seems like it won't impact a lot, but then you think about, okay, what kind of music is she listening to?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, she's listening to the same music that he's listening to. Okay, and then you wonder why, you know what I mean? Like, and I can get into other stuff because I don't want to stereotype nobody, you know what I mean? But like, you just notice like a certain kind of characteristics now.
Mm-hmm.
Because and then you go back to the home and it's like, oh, okay, like I'm not judging you, but I see what you got to. I see the cards that was dealt to you,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you going outside, you just trying to find identity. You're just trying to find who you are. You just want to feel loved. You want to feel noticed. You want to feel attractive. You want to feel intelligent. Ain't nobody in your house telling you intelligent. I had partners growing up. They used to laugh at me because I feel like I've always kind of been different from my friends. They used to laugh at me and call me a philosopher and blah, 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 blah. And they made me feel like I shouldn't speak because they made it seem like, I don't know why young black kids, like, I don't know if they still do today, but we used to, being intelligent wasn't cool. Right? It wasn't cool to be smart. It wasn't cool to go to college, John. It wasn't cool to, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't cool to have spirituality, William. Like, it wasn't cool. It wasn't cool to be enlightened. Right? And it's just like this whole backwards. And I think it starts with parenting, not putting nothing on y'all, but just in general, right? I think it starts with parenting. I think
You're
it
right.
starts with the father saying, you know what? I'm going to stand up and be a good man for my family. I'm going to read books. I'm going to listen to podcasts. If I can help it, I'm going to eat better, right? I'm going to show up for my kids because I know what they have to go out there, because you only have so much time with your kids before they leave and go outside, and the rest of the world is just coming like this.
There it is.
And the phone's always my phone clicking. I'm sitting here, I'm getting these notifications. That's what it is. And then all of a sudden, I don't remember what my mama told me because I'm listening to what Too Short got to say. And I ain't no disrespect to Too Short. I'm just saying in general, I'm just throwing a name out there, right? You know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh, I'm listening to what this person got to say or that person got to say. And everything that we said it's no longer, it went out the other ear because the power of influence, isn't in the household. And so it's that much more important for the parents to be there and to show up, not be perfect, but just to be there, right? If you fumbling, let your kids see and explain, like, look, man, I'm learning too, and help your kids walk with you through that. Because I feel like me growing up, my parents used to keep me out of everything. So I think my parents perfect. When you get older, you realize, you was, you know what I mean? And we don't judge our parents for that, but it's like, how am I going to develop as a young leader if I'm not understanding what my leaders are having to figure out?
Man.
So, AR, they have just crowned you the name the Deacon Smith. You are coming under the bishop, AR. And I'm going to tell you something because you've been here a month with us, and I want the community to know. Yes, AR is a young, phenomenal leader of our community. That's why he's here at both sides of the conversation. He's going to change the trajectory in the narrative of young people. But AR, I need you to stop doing a couple things, AR. One is stop saying because I'm younger than other people, right? Age is just a number. We got 50-year-old fools out here every day. Don't worry about that, because that's where you telling us why you think like that, because what it is you had a voice and elderly people in the community didn't listen to you. And you carrying that like, if y'all listen, we're listening. That's why you're here today. You are the leader of the young people. You are the voice of the community. You will be great. And I want you to know that, right? That's why you're here. You start the influence of the next generation of young people. You are that leader. So you make sure when you step and stand, you remember that. It is your time now. You are here. You have arrived. We can't worry about all of the other stuff that took place. Don't put yourself down when you're talking. Speak your truth. This is both sides of the conversation. Don't worry about all that. I don't want to be this. I don't want to say that. I don't want to offend nobody. Listen, this is both sides of the conversation. The reason why we created this is to hear from the voices of our people. You don't have to diminish any of your conversation to make anybody feel any kind of way. So I want to empower you today with that. This is our platform, the platform for the community. You say what you feel, whatever it is. I don't care about the people that don't like the delivery, because sometimes on this platform, the conversation will be colorful. It will get rough. It might get a little verbal, vocally not cool for some people, but I want the people to speak. All of the allies, the people who want to be a part of this need to understand you're going to stomach what my people is feeling. I'm not here to police tone you. I want you to understand that. You speak your mind, because there's a young person out there listening. There is a mother out there listening. There's a father out there listening. And if you close off your mouth because you feel like you don't want to rub somebody the wrong way, or you feel like you disrespecting people, the message is not going to get there. I don't care how it come across. Be real. This is why I created this. The authentic people. This is what's going on. I don't want you to sugarcoat it. Say it how it is. We have allowed people in our community to police tone people, and this is why we in the dysfunction that we are. You remember when Sister Helen used to come in and say, "Oh no, this is not right." Everybody like, "No, Sister Helen, you can't do this right now in the church." We got to stop that in our community. Let the people speak. Deal with the criticism. Deal with all of the things that come with being a leader. And that's what you got to learn. Everybody's not going to like you. Everybody doesn't like the bishop, the way I move, the way I talk, the things I do, and it's okay. But they know I am real. I'm for my people. And you're not going to play with my people. So I want to leave that with you, AR, because you are phenomenal, brother. You are a phenomenal king. You are a great leader. Don't worry about your age. Don't worry about the people you offend. The truth is the youth leads the future. And if our elders in the community don't get it, it is time for the elders to bridge the gap with the young people and listen and let them lead. Maybe the way it comes out is not the way an elder would do it, but this is the young people. And this is how they communicate. And we all have to adjust. This is a community adjustment. What William's been talking about is a community adjustment. We all got to listen and learn from each other. So don't close your mouth down and don't say, "I'm worried about how this sounds." I don't want you to say that no more. Say what's on your heart. Speak the truth, because the Lord is blessing you and he is running his word through your very mouth. You might not like the way it's coming out, but the Lord is sending it to you to give to the people. Remember that. Don't never police tone yourself. Speak your truth. That's why we have this. Tell your testimony, because your testimony is going to change the life of somebody else. Today, Khalees is here. Somebody's going to feel her. I went through this. Now, somebody else have been empowered. Somebody else is comfortable to come speak what has happened to them. Come talk their truth. Nobody is perfect in our community. But together, if we talk about it, if we change the narrative together by speaking and communicating, we can move forward. Remember that, King.
Hey,
William,
I appreciate
say
that.
something to the young brother.
Amen. Amen. I wanted to say this almost the same thing. I wanted to add that when you said no disrespect to Too Short, you don't need to apologize to him. He's made his money off of bitch. Now you need to make your money off of I'm king, man, and we need to adjust some things. Too Short, you need to come on now and say, hey, Richard Pryor did it. He was calling everybody the N-word, and then he went to Africa, came back and said, you know what? I ain't gonna use that word no more. I've been enlightened. I'm conscious now. But he has set off a wave that hasn't even stopped till today, using that N-word, right? And so we do need to step to our musicians, our artists, because our artists create our culture. Our artists tell little girls what they should grow up to be, what type of women they should be, grow up to be. They tell little boys what type of men they need to grow up and be. So we need to check our artists. We need to say, if you're not telling let me ask you a question. Out of all the cars that's been going down the street, blasting their music, boom, 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 right? How much of that's been gospel music? How many times have you heard gospel music coming from a car?
Probably
and some consciousness. See?
Never.
See, so we need to police our street. Be like, pull up. Oh, no, we need to give you a ticket, brother. Turn the channel, put some gospel on, put some put some meditation, put something different on and see what happens. And watch the people start falling in line when the trendsetters in our community switch and do something positive. And so be that change. I see it in you, and I agree with John. I don't have the voice anymore. It's your voice that they're going to listen to. I was at the church with Amos Brown doing reparations committee, and he spoke to a person not to push the cart because it was making noise. He was the only one bothered by that because he's reached that stage in life that little noise is bothering him, but he has to realize there's a different noise that people are resonating to. There's a different voice, and it's time to pass the mic to Brother AR.
Yes, Deacon Smith, the torch is being passed to you. Yes, be ready, Deacon. And you know what, William? I'm glad you said that because that's powerful. And Deacon Smith here, he is an artist. He's a model. AR is doing a lot of stuff. And AR, this is good for you to have these conversations because you write music. You got to remember, you have to lead through your music. Because when you get up in the industry, there's going to be people saying, oh, that's too soft, AR. You got to come with some gangster. You get what I'm saying? You're going to have to make that choice. I'm just saying, you're going to have to make that choice because they're going to say it's more money, AR, if you talk about killing your brother than it is loving your sister. I'm just telling you, you got to be ready. So this is a learning. This is getting you equipped for what you're going to do because you got to remember, Black folks don't run the industry. The enemy runs the industry. You got to know that, brother. Khalees, the great mother, leading the kids. AR, we got an amazing youth team that's growing. And we need our young people to hear you. But Khalees, jump in.
Well, it's been a good conversation with both sides of the conversation because it's important that we put good things out in the atmosphere, right? Especially for our communities. I mean, they have so much negative impact that they're going out there and the enemy's attacking them left and right. But we have to make sure that they're strong at home first. I mean, charity begins at home, and you have to raise a child the way they should go, right? Because they'll never depart. So it's up to the parents. They have to step up to the plate and be parents, active parents that are involved in their children and that just not saying what they want, but actively involved with their children and being present. So it's a good conversation.
Hey, Khalees, can you come over my house and give me some charity? I need about 100.
I
Get
mean,
somebody else to do it.
I mean, we talked about a lot today, and we started off, great on, this BBL conversation, the obsession with it. I know we had one other guest that was supposed to be here to talk about some of the negative impacts from these surgeries. But we do here at both sides of the conversation and what William's doing at SF Baby Paper, we do have to talk about these things. We have to start having these conversations in our community. And I agree with William. We have to pass the torch to our young people. They are the leaders. They are the future. They are going to push us to where we need to go. And we have to equip them. And I think that's why educating and having these conversations of awareness is so important because it wakens the community up. It wakens the families up. It wakens the young people up. There's some young person tonight, mother is going to say, listen, sit down and listen to this. Because there's some young 16, 17-year-old girl that's thinking about, I want to get a breast implant. I want to get a boob job. I want to get a butt job. You get what I'm saying? And they have to understand the process of what's going on and understand where they are mental, and these conversations truly impact the community. We have to keep doing it. But with the recession here, money is so tight. How are these people going to continue? How are they going to continue to do these surgeries and this follow-up work with the cost going so hard and everybody's being tight with money, but these jobs are still happening. I think I heard Khalees say some of these doctors are saying, give me cash. And this is what people understand. You go in there and pay them cash, they going to write that off as they didn't receive it on taxes, right? Now they do a bad job to you. Got no transaction, no record. It's all cash. So you got to be careful. We're not here to judge people. We're not here to say what you should do. We just want to have a conversation of pros and cons of the decisions that you might think you want to make. Like AR said, maybe you don't have a mother and father in the house. Maybe you don't have an influence in your family that's going to give you the right decisions on what you need. And I just hope today you listen to Khalees, you listen to William, you listen to AR. You got some people in the community that you can reach out to give you some good advice. And one of the things that AR said that I wanted to hit on is it doesn't matter if you have moms and dads in the house. We are a community. We need our young people to connect with people that they feel they can connect to, because I'm going to tell you, I had to raise my daughter as a single dad. She didn't listen to everything that I said, but maybe it's colleagues, maybe it's somebody else in the community, right? We just have to make sure whoever we send our young people to get information, we lead them with the right information. And I think that's the biggest thing. The takeaway is no matter where you go to feel comfortable, make sure that they are leading you in the right direction. And for our community folks, if you is that person that the young people are attracted to and they feel like they trust you, steer them in the right direction. It's too many big homies in our community tearing up our community, giving our young people the wrong information. And I think that's where it starts. The accountability with the elders of the community, our big homies of the community, our social media influencers. We have to let them distinct and find out who you're going to. But again, just because your kid doesn't listen to you doesn't mean stop talking. Keep sitting down. Have dinner with your young people. When they're in there playing video games, go sit next to them. I think William said this last time. Have a conversation. Whatever the time is, if your kid is going through changes, or they coming at you with this ideal and they don't understand, because I know there's a lot of parents who reached out to me. We're going to have a show about tattoos. All these young people want to go get tattoos. Our parents in the community, our grandparents, our aunties, we need to talk to these young people and let them know what that looks like over the long term. Young man, young lady, if you get a tattoo on your face, it's going to stop your opportunities, right? We got to really talk about this stuff. But it's like you said, William, it's self-hate. Some people don't like their face, so they want to tattoo their face because they like, I don't like the way I look. It's a lot of self-mental work that needs to happen in our community, but we got to make sure we're leading in the right way. But AR, I don't know if you was trying to say something. Go ahead. William, you got anything? Everybody?
I wasn't gonna say nothing, but I just to say real quick, parents have to I realize my parents, because they knew better, they didn't give me it's almost like they didn't give me a lot of space to be me because they knew better. So it was like instead of trying to understand where I was coming from, it was more of directing. It was more of do this because I'm your parent, or do this because the Bible says, or do this because that's what the law says, right? But it's like, but this is how I feel. This is who I am as a person. I just, even small babies are human beings with developing personalities. And I think the best approach is to study and observe, right? And then make decisions based on what you're observing, right? Not just saying, oh, okay, this is a child that don't know no better. It's like, well, why are you doing that? Well, why did you do that? Well, why did you think that? Well, who told you that? Right? Having like a real conversation about what's going on through their minds so that they feel like they have a partner in life, like not just a parent, authority figure to tell them, because they go to school, people telling them what to do. Police telling them what to do. The clerk telling them what to do. You know what I mean? Like the bus driver telling them what to do. They need somebody who they can feel comfortable talking to, who's not just an authority figure, but it's like a figure of safety, a figure of they could go to get advice. Yeah, that's all I was going to say.
Yeah, AR, get ready, because our next cohort of young mentors is coming up, and you're going to be a mentor talking to the young brothers. All right, get ready. See, I'm putting him to work. I'm passing the torch. See, he wants the torch. I'm going to give it to him, and I'm headed to you lit. Okay, I'm not going to give you a freaking torch you got to relight. It's going to be already light. I'm going to say, here, Deacon, lead the young brothers forward.
Yes, give them the torch while it's still lit. Amos. Give them the torch while it still got a flame on it.
Right.
Yeah, we don't want to hand you an extinguished lantern. We want you to add some feel to it and make it brighter and glow. Even Moses had to pass it over to Joshua to send the children into the promised land. That should be a regular occurrence. And like we said, there's so many transitions in life, from toddler to preteen to teenager to young adult to 30 something. And then there's about 3 or 4 after you turn 40 transitions. And we need to practice these transitions in our community. We've been leaving this up to TV and media, like John said, that's not even in control of us. right? And so our job as elders with the microphone is doing what John is saying, passing the microphone, turning it on for you, making sure you get your own, and the next one and the next one, right? There's a science to the 33 years of Jesus. The 33 represents the vertebrae in the spine, right? And so when we allow that chemical that rises up through the spine and get to that pineal gland, which looks like a crown of thorns, then we become into our whole Messiah Christ self, right? And then we are able to save our community. But as long as our third eye is blind from the toothpaste with that chemical, what's that, fluoride, we drinking it in our water, our third eye is blind because we watching too much porn is so detrimental. You don't even believe. Scientists have came out and said how destructive just watching porn. And so now TikTok is a soft porn site for our kids to grow up on. So much that is blocking ourselves from being at our highest Christ self, right? That we are losing this spiritual battle in the streets. And I don't want to be sounding like, spooky, spiritual, boo. It's real. If it wasn't, all the churches, all the mosques, all the synagogues, all the temples would have fixed this already if we wasn't already bombarded by things that we don't see coming. In our food, in our toothpaste, in our clothes, in our music. Satan is the minister of music. We have to be careful of what goes in. Like Jesus said, it's not what goes in, but it's what comes out. And what we do know is if we feed ourselves chemicals, what's coming out is some toxic, well, I won't say that word, but it's some toxic stuff.
Hey, and
Let's be
listen, William, this is powerful. But AR, see, I'm getting messages. See, AR don't be knowing, but I'm gonna send you all these messages from people in the community that's talking about you. See, this is what I'm saying. The power of both sides of the conversation, the power of you. You are touching some people. I'm getting some text messages. I'm gonna share them with you so you can see why your voice is so important. Okay, there's people out there watching, and you are going to be doing some amazing things. And William, this is why I tell people it's power. He's an example. Y'all heard him say he's Islam. He's talking about Jesus Christ. See, like he said earlier, it's not about the labels. It's about the people. Remember that. It's not about your religious background. We're about unifying the people, the voice of the people. That's why I walk around. That's why you see me say all power to the people. Nothing happens without the people. The power is in the people. It's not the city officials. It's not the governor. It's not the president. The power is in the people. Remember that, community. But William, I have to say this because I think you said something earlier that's very powerful. And I hope the elders are listening because I'm getting some chatter from my elders out there. But I think you said something powerful when you was talking about the reparation meeting and Reverend Brown. There's a number of pulpit leaders in our community that are very divisive, that demonstrates poor leadership. And that is one of the things that is setting our young people back from growing. But I know tomorrow is Dr. Martin Luther King celebration here, right, William? There's going to be a parade. We're going to march from Caltrans to Gilbert Wayne Gardens. And watch what I tell you, when the pulpit, the spiritual leaders, the leaders of the community, they're going to hog the mic when they should let the young people speak about Dr. King. That's why a lot of times these events, I get frustrated. The young people want to talk and they don't want to give the mic to the young people. Elders, let the young people speak before you speak. It's not about you. This instant gratification and this power that we need to be seen and heard, we got to change this. Give the mic to the young people. I want to hear the young people in the community talking about Dr. King. What does he mean? His legacy to them. I don't want to hear the elders talk about, I watched with him in Alabama. I had enough of it. Let the young people. I wanted to go to the young people. Let them talk about what this legacy means to them. So again, I'm encouraging all the community leaders, all of the folks, let the young people speak.
Yes.
With that being said, go ahead, William. I know you.
If I'm there tomorrow, because I don't do rain if it's too hard, right? But if I'm there tomorrow,
you telling me brown sugar melt, William? Don't say that lie.
You know it do. So I got to keep it right. But if I'm there tomorrow, and you don't see me jump on stage and snatch the mic to hand it to a young man or a young woman, then I didn't make it. So if I'm there tomorrow and I hear all that talking and that rhetoric, the police, I'm good friends with Sheriff Miyamoto, so hopefully the deputies won't stop me from jumping on stage, snatching that mic out of one of them old folks' hands and throwing it in the crowd and telling the people Martin Luther King was a rebel. He was a disruptor. And at the end of his life, these same people did not support him and did not care about him. These same people who said they love him and care about him, put him on stamps and make statues out of him, he was by himself in the White House trying to pass through the Civil Rights Bill. So let it be known, our greatest leaders have always bucked the status quo, even from our own communities, because the powers to be will always put somebody into place and maintain power with that person as long as they keep the fires out. And we got to be fire starters. We got to light this muck up with consciousness, not with destruction, not burning down buildings, not killing our folks, but we got to light this city up with consciousness again and drive out them people, man, that's trying to push this old fentanyl and reduction of harm so we can have a slow death, taking away our economies and all that stuff. Please watch what's happening. This is another part of why our women are doing what they, and our men are doing what they're doing to our bodies. It's because the powers of the be are saying, that's a good thing, John and Jane. Go destroy yourselves. No. We need to gather together. We need to gather together. And I love y'all. Thanks, John, for having me on again. I watch you. I saw you at Kwanzaa. I saw you in the community. I love y'all. AR is very nice to meet you. Khalees, I'm waiting for you to knock on my door because I still need that $100. Charity starts at my house first. But for the community, man, I know I'm here in San Francisco. I may not have been born and raised here, but as an adult, I chose to come live here and serve this community. I'm at your beck and call.
Man, thank you, William. With that being said, see, you must have knew it was coming. We are at that time where it's time to wrap up today's show. But before we go, we always want to hear from our panelists. Give some party words to the community. Show some love and give them something today. And you already did that, William. If there's anything else you want to say to the community before we wrap up and get out of here today, say it now, King. If you want to shout out anybody, let's do it now. And I move around so that we can close out today.
Yes, my time at the Bayview will be over. We ran out of funds for my fellowship. I'm hoping that the Black community can save the SF Bayview. It needs to be transitioned into the hands of Black people, Black men and women who want to save our community and control the narrative of our community. So if you're out there and you want to have this conversation, I will still be around. You can see me at soul.brother with an A.9. It's on here. I would get out my phone number, but I don't want too many women calling me. But I'll be around. Let's come together, man. Let's find us a venue where we can have regular meetings of how we're going to mobilize and push Black First unity.
Man, very powerful, and it is up on the screen. Community leaders, reach out to the brother. There's his IG. Direct message him. Let's figure out organizations. See, this is why this is important. Where is the corporation? See, everybody's talking about equity in the Black community, but they don't want us to have their own media. See, y'all got to understand what's going on. They don't want to both sides of the conversation uplifting the voices of the people. They don't want a SF Bayview Hunters Point paper uplifting the voices of the people. They want to control the narrative, but we will not. We will not die off. We will continue to rise. We will continue to push the voices of the people forward. I love you, brother. I'm glad you're here. We need to have a meeting. Let me know whatever we could do, whether it's collaboration. We got to keep our media. Okay. And this is why I keep telling people, instead of sitting back talking about what's wrong, get involved. Help your people. We got to bless the people and we got to uplift the people. They're trying to control our narrative. They want to tell the story they want to tell about our community. But no, we will tell the truth. We will tell them what's going on in our community. Good brother. You know I love you. I see you around. And yeah, let's talk. Let's figure something out. Let's support the Bayview paper. All of the people that's watching out there, the funders, the foundations. What are you doing? You want equity? You want to help bring inclusion to the community? Support the paper. Spend some money with the people. Let's do it now. Thank you, William, for being here. This was a great conversation. It's always great to have you here. You know, you are a phenomenal king, always enlighten the community with just resilience and information. So just glad to have you back. And I'm sure after we talk, we'll figure out something to pull together what we need to do to uplift our media and our community and make sure that we control that narrative. So thank you, brother.
For sure.
All right. Sister Khalees, the queen is here, the mother. Talk to the people. Leave some parting words to the young ladies out there, to the mothers. Talk to them. Give them something to break bread with tonight.
Yes, just make sure that you know what you're putting in, and that means for your children, your siblings, the people that you're around. Just make sure you know what you're putting in, because whatever you're putting in has to come out. So just make sure you know what you're putting in.
Very powerful stuff. And I know we had another guest, Lisa. I know she's probably watching, having a terrible service today. We know the storm's here. We'll get her back on to be a part of our conversation. Lisa, we love you. Okay, we love you, and we're glad you showed up and you couldn't stay, but we love you, and we know we'll have that conversation soon. Now I'm going to pass it to the deacon, Deacon Smith. Leave some powerful words to the people before the end of today's show.
All right, Bishop. Man, it's an honor to be here today. You know, I didn't know how the conversation was going to go. I don't really know much about BBLs and, you know, body surgery and stuff, you know, but it was enlightening. And I mean, if I could leave anything, I'd just say, love yourself first. Love yourself, and just try to be. If it feels like too much to love other people, at least just try to be a source of positivity for other people, because you don't know what people are going through in their own head. And that's it. That's all I say.
Very powerful stuff. AR, Young King, you are headed somewhere, brother. We are excited to have you a part of this both sides of the conversation team as we continue to grow, develop, and really mobilize in our community, do things. You are that example. We are honored to have you here. We want to uplift you and let you know, Young King, you are important to the community. You are important to the people. Stay focused. Keep pushing. Love on your lady. I see you always acknowledge your lady. That's a good thing. You're going to make other young brothers want to acknowledge theirs. So keep leading by example, okay, King? But with that being said, y'all know before we end any show, maybe you don't know, maybe this is your first time watching. Yes, they call me the bishop. I was ordained that name. I'm not a real preacher. I don't stand in the pulpit. But the community, my team, they said, Bishop, we're going to call you the bishop because you're always preaching. You're always teaching. You're always talking like a preacher. So they call me the bishop, and I take all things that's given to me, and I'm going to run with it. So I am the bishop. Before we end any show, I always leave the people with a benediction, because again, every great preacher, every great bishop always give a wrap-up of what took place today. Today was some powerful stuff. So with that being said, it is time. Y'all see my towel. It is time to give the benediction. With that being said, I want to say, community that's listening, today has been very powerful. A great conversation for young men, young women, community to learn about what's going on when we talk about cosmetic surgery, what it can do for you, pros and cons. There is things that we all have learned today about what the risk is, what could happen. We're going to continue to develop and talk about conversations like this that impact our community. Today, the conversation has went a number of ways. It's been a lot of great things that have come out of this conversation. I like what somebody said earlier about the menu. Today, we're talking about how do we change the menu of communication. Y'all heard William. You heard Khalees. We need more love. We need more acknowledgement. We need more affirmation. So today, the menu is, when you're around your children, when you're in the community, show some love. Show some words of encouragement, affirmation. Let's stop bullying each other and talking about she's fat, she's ugly. Let's just say we love you, queen. We love you, king. Embrace what God has given you. We have a lot of development that needs to happen in our community. When we talk about communication, what things look like, and messaging, we have to be the change of that message. You see the change. You see the people here that are making an impact. You have Brother William, who is spreading the message, encouraging the people, building the ecosystem of Black power, Black economics. We will have to continue to push that agenda forward every day on this show, every day in our community. We must move together collectively as a unit. That's the only way change happens. If you want to change people, you have to change the things. If you want to change things, you have to change the environment. There's a lot of work, but you have to get involved. Do your part. Make sure you do your research. If you are out there and you say, hey, I still want to have a BBL, or I still want to get a surgery done, all we can say is we encourage you, do the research. Make sure you understand all of what's going on. Make sure you look into the fine details that sometimes is not printed. Make sure you do the research to make sure the doctors are still active, their license is still current. Don't put yourself under the knife of somebody you don't know. If you can trust somebody that you don't know to cut your body open and make changes, why can't you trust the people of the community? We have work to do. Mental health have been brought up multiple times here. We are still in the crisis of our community. We need more mental health therapists. We need more mentors, more social workers to continue to work with the community. There's some issues that we are dealing with our young people. People, encourage the young people. Tell them they are great. You heard William? Don't tell my daughter she's pretty. Tell her she's intelligent. Let's talk to the kids. Let's stop saying you're just like your daddy. You don't know nothing. Let's encourage the young people. Uplift the young people. Let them know they are powerful. They can make change. Together, we can do all things. With that being said, as we go into the final day of this Martin Luther King weekend, let's make sure our community is educated. Let's make sure we really sit down and look at the movement of MLK, what it means to love all people, what it means to fight for everybody. But even in solidarity, we all have to do this together. There's been a lot of things that's taken place. I'm very frustrated. As you all seen on the news, a white man spraying down his water hose on a black homeless queens. This is unacceptable in our communities. Very, very unacceptable. Black men, thank you, who stepped up. Thank you for stepped up, because our black women feel they're not protected. They're not safe. But a number of black men of our community stepped up to support this queen. We got some work to do. We are in some times in this Martin Luther King weekend. Things that we fought against is coming back around. The hatred, the racism, it is coming back. We have to stick together as a community if we want to change. That's what we're going to have to do. William's been saying it all night. The black plan, the black code, we have to rewrite it. We can do it together. Let's put it together and empower and impact our community. With that being said, I love you all. Thanks for tuning in and watching. It's been a great show. Great information. I learned a lot. Make sure when you're on your next flight and you see that queen on her knees and she's turned around, make sure you help her, all right? With that being said, this Tuesday is our next live show. We will have another Hidden Gem segment where we will continue to highlight our Black and brown businesses, our community leaders, and folks that are doing positive things in our community. We will continue to uplift that. We will continue to spend our black dollars with our black businesses, and we will continue to give flowers to the amazing gems out there that continue to impact our community positively. With that being said, be safe out there. It is still raining. The storm is still here. Drive safe. Be aware. Check on your loved ones. There's another tree that just went down, knocking out power everywhere. Be supportive. Check on your loved ones. Drive slow out there. If you are going to the Martin Luther King March tomorrow, it's going to be raining off and on. Be safe. If you see puddles, don't just drive through them because you don't know how deep they are. And again, we love y'all. Be safe. Good night now from the Bishop.